Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nick Nikam, your host, and we will be here for the next hour. This is a talk show where we focus in depth on one or two topics that are of interest to you. You can join in the conversation by calling 281-983-9550. The telephone number again is 281-983-9550. If you would like to be a guest on this program, please contact us at 281-265-7567. This program in part has been sponsored by Sugarland Heart Center. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. You're listening to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nick Nikam. Now we are going to talk to our guests from the University of Houston. My guests are, let's get to here. Dr. Rajendra Aparasu, he is the chairperson of the Department of the School of Pharmacy at the University of Houston, and along with him we have his student who is Jag Maturi, who is a third-year pharmacy student. And if you are interested in a pharmacy career, this is the time to get a paper and pencil and write down the number. The number to call here is 281-983-9550. Dr. Rajendra Aparasu, welcome to All India Radio, sir, and also Jay.
Thank you, Dr. Nikam.
Yes.
It's a real pleasure to be here, and I know you've been doing a lot of community work, and I'm really glad that you're doing this for the community also.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm really excited to be part of this program.
Yeah. Tell us in a brief nutshell about the School of Pharmacy at the University of Houston.
Yeah, before I talk about University of Houston, College of Pharmacy, let me tell you, as you know that University of Houston is one of the top tier institutions we have in Houston. And one of the good thing about that is one of the largest. It is a university which has been designated as serving Asian American students. I think there's only 3 in the nation. And that's a really big achievement. And in terms of diversity, it is number 2 in the nation.
I see. Yeah.
So we serve a lot of Hispanic, a lot of Asian American students within this thing. And with respect to College of Pharmacy, and there are a number of colleges of pharmacy in the country, but we believe that we have one of the best, because we have a strong faculty, strong student base who do excellent in terms of our exams as well as the profession. And if you look at all the, I can give you a lot of facts and credentials with respect to the College of Pharmacy, but our biggest achievement we have in the last few years is that we have 100% passing rate we have for all our pharmacy students who've been graduating from our program with respect to the national boards, and it's called NAPLEX.
Oh, I see. How many pharmacy schools are there in the United States?
I would say it's probably over 60 pharmacy schools.
Where does University of Houston Pharmacy School rank?
I would say probably it is in top 30 programs. The thing is there are several factors which contribute to these things. One of them is research productivity. One of the other thing is student success. So I would say, especially in the state of Texas, I think with respect to student success rate, I think we are probably number 1 or close to number 1.
Oh, I see. That's very good. Okay, let's. You can jump in, Jay, anytime if you'd like to answer. What does a pharmacist do?
Okay, I'll take a first stab at that. And Jag Maturi he's a P3 student, and he's right now going through all the specifics of that.
Okay, that's very good.
So that is one of the things, is because I really want listeners to understand that the pharmacy profession is one of the top professions we have in the country. And if you look at the recognitions and all those things, it is in the top 5 professions with respect to the job growth, earning potential, and all those things.
That's interesting.
And in the healthcare profession, it is top 3. And I don't know whether you know this, probably have not looked at those numbers, but the physicians are at the number 6th position. Of course, the first position is by dentists, the second is by nurse practitioners, and third is by pharmacists.
When there's music coming from somewhere else. Anyway, it is said that they trust the pharmacists more than the doctor, the preacher, or anybody else.
Oh, that is very much true.
Any profession. For
That is very much true. And then if you look at the trust we have,
Yes.
and I'm not looking at just last 1 year. Take
Yeah.
a look at the trends we have.
Yeah.
In pharmacist has been the number one position in
Yeah.
terms of the patient trust.
You know, one of the most important thing people want to know is how much does a pharmacist make, but we're not going to get to that question until the last. So, ladies and gentlemen, the number to call here is 281-983-9550. My guests are Rajendra Aparasu and also Jay Maturi, right?
Jack
Okay.
Maturi.
Jack Maturi. So, okay, so we are talking about the School of Pharmacy, and let's talk about how competitive is it to get into School of Pharmacy? How many people apply and how many really get selected?
Okay, because for the last question, I just want to let you know that
Okay.
we have pharmacists not only working in the community setting. Those are the pharmacists you see
That's right.
in Walgreens, in CVS, and all those.
Yes.
But we also have pharmacists working in the hospitals and
That's-
other various locations, kind of thing.
That's
So
good,
it is the opportunities for the pharmacists are everywhere in the healthcare setting. And now coming to your question related to how many students apply for the program?
Hold your thought and we'll get this caller online.
Sure.
Hello, you're on All India Radio. Go ahead. Hello, you're on All India Radio. Go ahead, please. Hello? Hello?
Dayandas,
Yes, sir.
what time it will start?
Hello?
What time that Dayandas will start?
Oh, that will be at 11 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So you were talking about how many students apply
Yes.
for the program.
Yeah.
In general, I think every year we have over 800 students apply for the program.
I see. Yeah.
And we only take around 110 students. So it is highly, highly competitive.
So
And-
8 to 1.
Yeah, 8 to 1.
Yeah.
8 to 1. It is an intensive
yeah.
process. And I think I want to kind of, Jack, to weigh in on this in terms of, you know,
Yeah.
what students have to go through to get admitted to the pharmacy school.
Okay, so let me move to that. That's my next question. Jack, maybe you can tell us what are the prerequisites that you focused on when you were applying for a school of pharmacy?
Well, applying to a school of pharmacy, there's numerous requirements, which
Yeah.
often overlap with other professions as well, inclusive of classes in the science fields,
I see,
biochemistry. These are all can be found on all of our school websites.
Yeah.
But I also want to emphasize work experience is something that we look forward to nowadays as well, just because of the competitive nature of getting into a pharmacy program
I see,
or any college pharmacist program. And that would include working in any kind of pharmacy, in the hospital or in the retail setting, just to make sure you know you want to become a pharmacist.
I see, yeah.
I know we want to touch on this at a future point, but the letter of recommendations can also be of value as well. So if a pharmacist that you know in the community, either a family member or somebody that you work with closely,
Is there any particular topic, say like in high school, that really says, well, I don't think you're going to be a pharmacist?
it's hard to say because in high school there's a lot of people at that age, 16, 18 years old, who are not completely sure what they want to do with their career yet. And sometimes I think towards the beginning of college is when you start realizing what you really want to do. And the best way... go ahead.
What I was trying to get at is, if they are really poor in math or chemistry, can they still succeed as a pharmacist?
I would say any weakness that you have, you can definitely target it and get some training for it. We have a lot of pharmacists with a diverse skill set that still do well.
Okay, here's a caller. Let's see if we can get him online. Hello?
Hello, this is Heather at Account Services, and we're calling in reference to your current credit card account.
God, I don't know how they got hold of my number. But anyway,
So
things do happen.
So
Okay, go ahead. You were talking something about the prerequisites.
Right, the prerequisites, they can definitely be found on the website, and I do want to emphasize many of them do overlap with other programs as well. So it's important to realize that you're going to be taking all of these classes as part of your degree program. So it's not necessarily out of your way.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Dr. Nikam, I just want to add kind of thing in terms of what Jack has mentioned. I think, like in general, I think as you can see, it's a healthcare profession. So in general, people who are really fascinated with biological sciences, chemistries, and math, I think they are the ones. If you look at even in terms of the admission process we have, we generally tend to emphasize more on the science GPA than the humanities or social sciences kind of thing. But I think it is very important to students to recognize where their strengths are.
Yeah.
And if somebody is doing, as Jack said, I think it is really important to know that if some of the GPAs you have in sciences are not really good, you can put an effort to make sure you increase the GPA. And I think it's don't shut it down just because your GPA is a little bit lower in the sciences kind of a thing. But there is a way to work out, and I think we have excellent counselors, not only at the College of Pharmacy, but at University of Houston, who can guide the students so that they can strengthen their science GPAs.
Okay. Like the medical schools and the law schools have entrance exams like MCAT and LSAT and things like that. Is there anything like that for the School of Pharmacy?
Yes. Let me just give you a little bit overview on that one. Then Jack is going to emphasize in terms of how we worked on those things.
Yeah.
So one of the exams which we use in terms of is called PCAT. PCAT is the Pharmacy College Admission Test.
Yeah.
And this is this is the exam which we use as one of the criteria. It is not the only criteria. I just wanted to emphasize that because what happens is that people tend to look at GPA only or PCAT only. Means as Jack said, there are several
it's a composite
things.
score of the whole person.
Right. So we look at PCAT, we look at the GPA, we look at the admission process, which includes the interview and self-assessments. We look at the recommendation, and we look at the experience. So these are all part of the admission process. And PCAT is one of the scores which, in general, overall, we look at, they need to have at least 75th percentile of the PCAT score to be considered for pharmacy school. And I wanted Jack to get into some of the other things which are related to PCAT.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So for the PCAT exam, much like taking your SAT exam for the younger listeners out there, you're going to be preparing for it quite a while, and you can definitely take training courses for them. But I also recommend, looking online for resources such as books and practice exams. That can definitely help you, just like any other standardized exam.
So this PCAT is something that comes after 4 years of undergraduate training. Is that right?
No. The thing is, PCAT is the one which they need to take before they get into pharmacy school.
I know, that's what I mean. So they have to have a 4-year undergraduate training to get into pharmacy?
That is a very good question. In general, we have a pre-pharmacy curriculum before they get into pharmacy school. So just to give you the logistics of the pharmacy program, the pharmacy program, professional program is 4 years.
Yes.
And the pre-pharmacy program it takes around 2 to 3 years.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And as Jack said, there is a lot of overlap in terms of what are the requirements for pharmacy program as well as medical program and all other programs. So people who are doing medical pre-med kind of thing can also get into pharmacy school, but there are certain specific requirements.
So certain subjects they have to take.
Right. And in general, students take PCAT after completing the first year of their university program.
Oh, okay. So if they have completed a 4-year, like a science course, so they could be prepared for medical school or pharmacy.
Exactly.
With the courses that are provided. Okay, that's a good point.
So let me jump in there, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting subject now that we're talking about prerequisites and the length of programs. Traditionally, many people think that these graduate school programs where you're getting a professional doctorate degree would be 4 years of undergrad followed by 4 years of graduate school. Pharmacy is a very interesting profession because, like Dr. Aparasu has brought up, it's possible to complete all those prerequisites in 2 years.
2 years. Oh, that's pretty
potentially
good.
less if you really wanted to work really, really hard. So the interesting part here now is if you add those 2 years plus 4 years, you've completed a professional doctorate degree in 6 years.
6 years.
Right. Which can earn you a very lucrative career.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nick Nikam. My guests are Rajendra Aparasu and Jag Maturia. They are from the University of Houston School of Pharmacy. We are talking about career in pharmacy. The number to call here is 281-983-9550. Okay, let's continue with this conversation we are having. How rigorous is your curriculum, the pharmacy, compared to like law or medicine?
The thing is, I think, let me give you the overview again on this one. It's a 4-year program.
Yes.
So with respect to didactics, which is the coursework they need to take, generally it is for 3 years.
Yeah.
And in 3 years, in general, I would say that the first 2 years are spent in terms of going over the basic sciences, basic pharmaceutical sciences, which includes pharmacology, pharmaceutics, medicinal chemistry, and those kind of courses.
I see,
But in addition to that, they also have early practice experience, which they'll be working in either in a community or any other healthcare setting throughout the program. And in the third year, there is a lot of emphasis on pharmacotherapy, how to manage patients' medications.
I see, yeah.
So the thing is, the 3-year didactic program is very intense because they need to complete all the requirement with respect to the courses, and they'll be taking simultaneous courses in terms of pharmacology, pharmaceutics management, and all those kind of things. So it is, in general, it is an intense process, but probably the thing is, I want Jack to weigh in with respect to how tough the first and second years are.
So this is a great point to emphasize something else that's really interesting. So Dr. Aparasu has brought up we have 3 years of didactics, and the third year is a key year when you realize how these medications play a good role in addressing the patient's problems. Now that can be a very difficult year, but it's very important because the fourth year can surprisingly be the most difficult year because that's when you're doing your rotations. And many colleges have about 7 rotations just like ours. And this is a key point where we bring up why University of Houston is such a great program. The alumni of our organization, as well as being in a Texas Medical Center, allow us to have the greatest rotation sites. So you'll have the best hospitals.
Okay, let's explain that rotations, what it means to the students who are listening.
Sure. Rotations, similar to medical school, is when you go through a period of 6 weeks in our particular program where you're learning about a particular niche area of an area of pharmacy. So, granted, we can go into this later in detail on how pharmacy is not just the retail pharmacy of Walgreens CVS. The hospital is much more than that. So, when you have 7 opportunities in different distinct areas of pharmacy, you're able to realize, get a better idea of which area of pharmacy suits you well. Now, like I said, we have the hospitals at Texas Medical Center, which are world-renowned, such as MD Anderson, Houston Methodist. So when you have the best hospitals, you have the best pharmacists who are going to be training you. So it will be very, very...
So it will be a hands-on practical experience in real-life situations. Where you get an order from a doctor to mix up a dopamine or something, then you're really actually doing it with the experienced pharmacists.
Absolutely. A few days ago, we had a lab, and in the lab we had the patient. And then they ask you which medication should you give? Why should you give those medications? And in some respect, you feel like a medical student, but it makes you realize why the decisions that you make need to be justified.
As a pharmacist, it's one profession where you are like zero mistakes.
I think that is the one thing which we emphasize a lot, and I think if you look at one of the things which is happening in terms of healthcare, there is a lot of emphasis in terms of healthcare quality. One of the healthcare quality principles which we have used from industrial this thing is what is called Six Sigma, which is that we want to have as small error as possible. Actually we want to achieve 100% accuracy in terms of what we dispense, in terms of how the patients are taking the medication, so that we have the best patient outcomes.
But nonetheless, the national statistics show that almost 80,000 people die from medication errors. Not necessarily, some of them may not be human, some of them may be the doctor's handwriting.
The thing is, that's very, that's one of the things which I'm kind of really passionate in terms of healthcare quality. The thing is, as you know, that Institute of Medicine has come up with some of the recent reports with respect to medication use quality. And the thing is, according to that, you are right. I think there's a significant number of deaths and errors made in use of medications. But the thing is, because medication management process just does not involve one profession.
That's right.
We have physicians,
the nurses, and
pharmacists. And in addition to these professions, we also have patients taking the medications. So even if everybody is doing the right job, if the patient is not educated enough in terms of taking the medication, then it is going to lead to bad outcomes. So
there are multiple steps here. Anywhere things can go wrong, not necessarily the pharmacist or even the nurse
or the nurses.
Well, the great news here is whenever something does go wrong, we definitely take proactive measures to make sure they never happen again.
Okay, let's see. Hello, you're on All India Radio, Houston. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I have a question for Jack.
Yeah, could you identify yourself, and then we will love to hear your question.
My name is Nisha.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question. While you're in pharmacy school, about how much time how much free time do you get?
Oh, I was going to ask that question. How much party time is available during the first 2 years? I'm glad. See, I always like audience because they know the right questions to ask. Okay, go ahead. Please answer this one.
This is probably a very important question because you're going to be spending...
I was going to ask that, but I'm glad she asked it.
Right. It's probably more appropriate for her to ask.
Yeah.
Well then, in pharmacy school, once you come to the fourth year, it's going to be very busy. It's going to be like a full-time job. So the first 3 years of pharmacy school are more similar to your undergraduate experience, where you do have your coursework, except it will be much more vigorous. To your advantage, though, all your classmates are also going to be in the vigorous program, so you'll have a challenging environment where everyone's going to be working hard. Now, if you balance your time really well, you can be involved in numerous activities, in student organizations, and maybe even cultural activities, even on your personal time. So I know a lot of South Indian family members, especially people that live at home, they have to have family obligations too, which do reduce their time, but they still manage to do really well in school.
So there's a tip off to you, Nisha. What you need to do is do all your partying before you join the pharmacy school, or join one of these associations, which will sort of add to your curriculum, as a matter of fact.
That is true. The thing is, it is not only important to be professionally rounded, but also rounded as a person.
See, that's very important in the medical field also, because they don't just look at MCAT or your science course and all these things, because they want to see how well-rounded person you are to withstand the stamina of medical profession and to withstand the stamina of the challenges that we face in the medical profession. Okay, let's continue with are there postgraduate courses given at the University of Houston in the School of Pharmacy?
I think there are a lot of postgraduate opportunities. Just to let you know, and the thing is, in general, people who after they get the PharmD, they're already prepared to do work in the hospital or in the community settings.
Okay.
They don't need
Before we go further, I have one question. Like in medicine, you have to have like 2-year, 3-year training to become medical internist or a pediatrician, things like that. Do they have to have a certain number of training hours or period in a hospital setup or somewhere?
Let me tell you this. In pharmacy program, what we have is it's a 4-year program.
Yes.
So the thing is, throughout the curriculum, we have those experiences, practice experience and later part experience. And as Jack has indicated, the 4th year is exclusively used in terms of getting those experiences.
The clinical experience.
The clinical experience. Actually, they don't even come to the classroom. Probably they come once in a month just to give this thing. So 1 year is required. The thing is, because this is required by the College of Pharmacy and it is also required by the state board, and in terms of the number of hours they need to get to be working in the clinic or in the retail setting or community setting.
So it will be like working in the trenches, in the pharmacy, in the doctor's office, or in a hospital setup. And unfortunately, all the pharmacies are in the basement.
Well, let's get to that now. There's different areas of pharmacy within the hospital. So luckily, many of you won't have to go to the hospital anytime in the near future. But there's also clinical pharmacists, and their role is quite interesting because it's not just a matter of filling medication prescriptions. They're involved in a medical team with physicians, other healthcare professionals, in which they're addressing the patient's problems, especially when we have complicated patients. So these special clinical pharmacists require a pharmacy residency afterwards, which wasn't the case in the past, but it's getting really competitive now.
You're absolutely right, because nowadays I see pharmacists who are in the intensive care unit floor itself, right next to the intensive care unit, where they process the medicines and dispense them and all these things. Okay, let's get to what does it cost to be a pharmacy student and to graduate as a pharmacy student. We got another 4 minutes left. Let's see if we can wrap up and get to what a pharmacist makes.
Okay. The thing is, let me give you the base numbers. These are base numbers. You know what? I think the thing is, University of Houston has one of the lowest tuition and fees in the state. Okay, that is highly affordable. In general, the tuition and fees is around $17,000 per year. Okay, and the thing is, tuition and fees. I'm not talking about boarding and lodging. But if you combine boarding and lodging, it comes to around $30,000 or so. And you can get more information from the College of Pharmacy website at University of Houston. But in general, it is very, very much affordable. And I think if you look at any other program in the country, it is highly expensive. But the thing is, the College of Pharmacy at University of Houston is pretty much affordable in terms of the tuition and fees.
Let me ask you this. What percentage of your students get scholarships that will offset some of these cost.
The thing is, there is significant number of scholarships which are available once you get into the pharmacy program, and naturally those scholarships are highly competitive depending on the grades and other kind of criteria we have. We have significant number of donors who help the students, those kind of things. But again, it depends on the credentials of the students to get those kind of scholarships.
Okay, we got a couple of more minutes left. Let's talk about what are the prospects of a student graduating from a pharmacy school, because nowadays somebody coming out of a Ivy League MBA course, they're not sure they got a job. What about the School of Pharmacy students?
The thing is, I would say that all our pharmacy students have 100% placement.
Is that
all our,
congratulations to your program, and congratulations to your students for being very studious in impressing the employers.
Right. So we are really proud of our students, and I'm sure that JAG is going to make a lot of money, and sometimes they're going to make more than the faculty are making in the College of Pharmacy. I'm not joking on that.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Oh yes. In fact, even those people who teach at Harvard probably make maybe a minuscule amount of all these Harvard MBA graduates who go on to become bank CEOs and financial institutional executives. So that's we like to do what we like to do. So
exactly,
that's the thing. So, do you have any kind of job fairs during the course of your pharmacy? Yes,
so I can definitely jump in on that. Luckily, University of Houston is proud to have numerous pharmaceutical companies and retail providers who provide internship opportunities and jobs through the college. So you don't even need to go outside the college to get internships. Now, granted, there is an interview process and it is selective. These companies do come to the college during the first year for summer internships, and again during the fourth year for job interviews.
Okay, let's get to the most important question. How much does a pharmacist make before we go off air?
On an average, pharmacists make $120,000 per year. It is $60.
That's an absolute encouraging number. All you spend in 4 years of college, you're going to make it up in 1 year. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to All India Radio. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being on All India Radio Houston. And we'll be back next week, Saturday at 10 a.m. And have a wonderful weekend. I am Dr. Nick Nikam. You're listening to All India Radio Houston, 1090 a.m. And thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to All India Radio Houston on 1090 AM. This is a talk show where we focus on one or two topics in depth on a variety of subjects. If you would like to hear on a particular topic, call us or send us an email and we will try to get experts to share their views and opinions. If you would like to be a guest on this program and share your views, please give us a call at 281-265-7567 or send us an email at drnicknikam@gmail.com.